This episode is brought to you by SafeJet, the operators of the anti-dump mechanism that you see all other DeFi projects copying. SafeJet is the safest coin in the crypto game, protecting you from your whales and chart manipulators. That way your investment is still there in the morning. Free travel, cash giveaways, an experienced and doxed team also lets you lock, fly, and land with SafeJet. For more information, visit safejet.io, link in the description below.
This my two Satoshis, who need 2 cents when they can get double from stacking Toshis, yeah.
Hola, buenos BNGs or buenos noches, because I don't know what time of day you're seeing this. I am Shrek with 2Ks, and this is V, and this is another episode of My Two Satoshis. If you don't know, the basic idea is I cover some stories that are related to crypto and then some things that are not related to crypto. So before I jump into the first story, let me just break down and saying thank you, and I appreciate the folks who are doing the thumbs up, the folks who are leaving the comments, the folks who are sharing. I thank y'all. I really do, because this help gets the word out about some of the things I talk about, as well as just it helps the channel overall. And I definitely had to say thank you to the big homie CB for putting me on to be able to do this segment called My Two Satoshis. And so I appreciate the folks who are sharing, and I also appreciate the lurkers, because here's what I know: the number for the view count still goes up, but I see what the comments look like and I see what the thumbs up look like, as well as what the thumbs down look like. But the numbers for the view counts keeps going up, so that means people are lurking, they're watching, they're not saying nothing, they're not giving no thumbs up. I appreciate though. All right, just want to leave that one there and say thank y'all. I appreciate. Now jump into this first story. Here you have it, that the first one is Coinbase, and beginning of June, the Solana situation happens, and so Coinbase goes down. I'm sorry. Somebody watch this and think that happened the way I just said it. No, that's not what happened. Solana went down for the umpteenth time this year, and in order to restart their blockchain, which goes into this whole thing about like how decentralized versus centralized it is on that sliding scale, they had to turn off some features. And so in that, what basically happened was, and this is at the beginning of the month, they turned off a feature that allowed you to move the Sol token into the cold storage side as far as your wallet, the hard wallet side of it, I believe. Now, Hasid Corisi, I always mess up his name, but the point being is that he was one of the first people to say something about it on Twitter publicly, and Coinbase then says their stuff. And this is more on it was an issue at the time Solana was trying to do their recovery, and they just started taking action and didn't necessarily, you know what, I can't even say that as 100% truth. For all I know, the team could have been like, hey, we need to turn off this feature. But if we turn off the feature, somebody could have brought it up. But doesn't that mess around with the whole cold storage thing? And then somebody else might argue like, well, no, we're not worried about that right now. We need to get the chain back up and not be on this downtime. And then we need to have like X amount of security. So arguably, as far as Solana protocol goes, this could have been a security thing for them to not have leakage. Because this particular feature that got turned off, it basically is called the durable transaction nonce. It works to basically give authority and control from one account to another account. So it's, hey, this ledger is saying I'm passing this thing over to you on the other side, which is basically what happens in your wallets, right? When you go from one wallet to another wallet, there's a function that works to give authority of control of the asset on that ledger to the other one. That's the bottom line of what happened here, but they basically turned off the feature. And so that made some issues for some people who are on Coinbase. I'm not even gonna get into the whole thing on like still being on Coinbase considering things, but I can't tell you how to operate. I can only give you information and hope you make the best choices for your situation, because I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just some guy on the internet. But at the end of the day, as I've been saying for the longest, this is a lot of gamification. This is a lot of trial and error experimentation. I was talking to Crypto Blood and I was talking to Isaiah about this. 2 separate conversations, by the way. Recently just happened was the Central Conference in Austin, which also led into Consensus 2022. I was at Consensus for a couple of hours. I was also at Decentral, but I did happen to think the same thing of what we're seeing. And I think this is gonna grow more of a situation where blockchains are going to go down for whatever the reason is. And the user base will get more used to systems going down. I don't know to say that this is an intentional thing, but I know that when you do something repetitively enough and you have it become then a expected thing or something that is normalized, it then makes a new behavior in reaction to the end user. And that's one of the things I think will end up happening as far as how Solana users view their blockchain and what it means to be a blockchain that never has downtime versus a blockchain that can go down or that is taken down or turned off or paused or frozen or whatever intentionally versus a blockchain that's never gone down. So I think that we'll see more blockchains going down, and it's going to be normalized within the bigger crypto community and the bigger thing of blockchain industry, stuff like that, which I personally don't see as a good thing. But nonetheless, I'm not going to beat that horse. The link is in the description on this. You can definitely follow up and read through. So jumping into this next story, Americans owe $22 billion in late utility bills as energy prices spike 34%. Let me tell you something. Shout outs to Ken Sturgeon, because I came across this because of his stuff. I'm actually a subscriber on his website, and he does a lot of geopolitical economic stuff. Now, where he was breaking this down, let me jump in close for this real quick. The way he was breaking this down, he was just making the point of Americans are falling further into debt, and utility bills is a big part of the cost price index, which is basically like, what do you pay on how for the ability to live, like your rent, your mortgage, your car note, gasoline, food. Those are the things that go into your CPI. And so here you have, let me jump back as the example that more Americans, because you got to remember, we just went through that whole 2-year C-19 period. You had the stimmy checks, the AKA Trump bucks, AKA Biden bucks, and X amount of folks didn't, quote, go back to work. Plus, the job recovery numbers are not what they first project. You gotta look at the 30-60 day revised numbers. When they talk about what the labor force and all that is gonna look like, you gotta look at the numbers that come out after when they revise them. Those are the key numbers right there. But the point being is that this is happening, right? So yes, people are falling behind on their bills, but they don't have the same protections as far as what was going on during that 2-year period. So now you got to ask the question, how many people are going to end up homeless off of this? Well, at least that's what you first think. That is what you first think when you read this. And it's, oh man, if I'm in this situation, how do I find help? All right. So now you go further down into this and boom, it tells you these 2 different organizations that you could contact. You can find out what's going on in your local city and blah, blah, blah. There's resources out there. There's always resources. There was resources before the whole C-19 period for you to deal with your utility bills if you are behind and stuff like that, right? Oh, also interesting. I'm curious on how Wisconsin is really going to follow through on this, or how long they would do it, where they implemented a program to forgive utility debt. Like, y'all got to understand, when people are in utility debt, it's not like a couple $100s, yo. Like, it'd be like a couple grand and better. And then you got to ask yourself, well, how did you get that far in and they didn't already cut your stuff off? Different states do different things, man. And this is an example of what Wisconsin is doing, where they're looking to implement a debt forgiveness program. But here's what caught me at the end of this particular article right here. And I was like, wait, what? We jump down here. They basically tell you about these 2 services. One, and honestly, I did not know that there were services that will argue on your behalf about your utility bills and being able to knock it down, which then leads me to the question of, if your utility bill is so high and then they are able to argue in knocking it down, then what is the actual cost of your utility then, if they're able to bring it down? And then of course they have to be getting something out of this. So do they take a cut off of what they take out? Or do they get paid through the state or the city for the service that they provide? I don't know. That would be something to dig into. Last part being is this, yo. So here you have it, that this is what caught me right here, where the last part brings into the whole thing of checking your credit score. Because depending on what state you're in and what city you're in, some of the utility companies can do this. Let me read this, the other line here. You can use a free credit service monitoring service like CreditWise from Capital One, or Experian free credit monitoring to track your credit history and a new credit marks going forward. This whole article was actually an advertisement for these 2 mofos right here. That's what this was. And it caught me at the end and I was like, yo, that's some slick shit right there. I say it, you gotta kind of read between the lines. I'm gonna jump into this next story because I'm running too long. So here's this next joint right here that also I saw the headlines and I was like, oh, somebody doesn't like Lummis and Gillibrand's bill about crypto and stuff. All right, bet. Let me see what they're talking about. This dude, Solstin. At first, it sounds like he gets that, hey, this isn't what they're selling it as. But it only turns out that he wants to distinguish coin from the other crypto assets. And what he did was he did this tweet right here that was like basically showboating in public of, hey, Lummis, you should see what Fidelity says, and I think that Bitcoin should be different than the other crypto assets. Now, that's some political bullshit, and like, all right, I get it. You want to jump on the bandwagon and be in the crypto crowd too, right? Yo, the funniest, craziest thing, the irony about this is, if you look at all of the like public, political, like Congress, Senate level people who are making comments on stuff, or who are making the crossover bridge, like they getting the crypto pass from X personalities in the community, majority of them is above 50. It's the craziest thing to me that it's all the old heads who are making all of these inroads now on this whole crypto thing. But nonetheless, the point being is this, and the link for this, of course, will be in the description on this, so you can definitely deep dive it as you please. So basically, the draft bill offers to bring in crypto as a whole into the financial institution fully. I remember when the mantra was, I remember when the narrative was, we are looking to separate from the traditional financial system because it is too corrupt, because the system was not meant to work for everyone equally. And here you have this person arguing, and it just might be that the writer of this article is misinterpreting the idea and concept or purpose of this legislation. And it just might be that I might have some unfounded personal grudge against a politician who's made their career within the financial sector of traditional systems and policy. Might be my whole thing is unfounded. But what I do know is this dude, Solstin, is showboating, because he still agrees with the rest of the bill, at least according to this article. And again, he's using what Fidelity put out, what was that, like earlier this year? They put out a report that's basically breaking down the whole differences in financial assets and the difference between like traditional gold coin and then looking at fiat, as well as like other crypto assets. And so that's him jumping on the bandwagon. I imagine there's some kind of support that is going on towards his next round of campaigns that led him to this wondering moment of, hey, he needs to stand up for Bitcoin and make the distinction that it is not like other cryptocurrencies, which then gets me to wonder, why would you look to promote a technology that has a use case that you're not supposed to be able to control because it's not supposed to be permissioned? It is not supposed to be exclusive. Why would you look to then support that in this way? I don't know, it's all sketchy to me. Nonetheless, I'm gonna just walk off on this one, not even read that last part right there. You see it on the screen yourself. Again, link is in the description on this so you can deep dive. If you think that I am talking out my ass, guess what? The comments are open. They're always welcome. You can also always find me on Twitter. Nonetheless, last couple of things in this session of My Two Satoshis are, one, we're doing the giveaways for the Oculus hard wallet. We're also trying to work on some other things, as well as we're doing the ticket giveaways for the Blockchain Futurist Conference, which will be in August. And that is a free ticket, as well as I have a referral code that is TREKK50, the number 50, and that gets you 50% off of the ticket price. So whether you already live in Toronto, it will work out for you. If you don't live in Toronto, it could be the chance that you get the free ticket, but you are going to need a passport. So hopefully you have your passport. I can't tell you what to do in life, but I would strongly encourage you to get a passport, even if you never go to Canada, but go someplace. Nonetheless, I'm Trek with 2Ks. This is My Two Satoshis, and this is the channel of CBTV. So I appreciate you for watching to the end. Until the next one. All right, GNGs, one.